I've been anchored here for 7 days and it's time to move. That's the rules on the Gold Coast. You're supposed to move 1 nautical mile every 7 days. And look, I don't mind it so much. I don't think you should be having your anchor down any longer than 2 weeks, because something could be getting caught on the anchor that could cause you to drag. And really, I don't mind running the boat and keeping the boat moving, making sure everything's working, checking the chain. So I'm not so fussed about moving, and I haven't been hassled with maritime probably because I do keep moving. And this is a shared waterway too. Why should someone dump an old wreck in a prime location in deep water, out of the wind? Why should they dump it there for months, taking up other people's place to moor when they're out finally on the weekend after working all week? I totally understand it, so I haven't got a problem with that. So, living on the water, what's the good things? Well, the first thing is you're saving $650 a week. That is the average price of a 1-bedroom apartment on the Gold Coast. That's nearly $34,000 a year. That's a hell of a lot of beer and Skittles. So you can probably put up with a few uncomfortable things by that saving. That's a big saving. What are the things that aren't so good about being on the water? Jet skis. Kids on jet skis. It's spoilt little rich kids on expensive jet skis who think it's funny to spray water in people's boats. I've been sprayed 3 times, particularly up around Sovereign Island area, you get this happening, but it's also happened down here on the Broadwater. I've had my radio covered in salt water. That's an important part of safety equipment when you're at sea. And recently I even had a tinny manage to get water into my window and splashed. It went all over my laptop, a $2,500 laptop. So when that dies, who knows? But it's just pointless. I don't know why they can't just go out and enjoy the waterways without having to annoy other people. That is one of the big ones. The other one is around here on the Broadwater. There seems to be this constant nightly traffic of tinnies flying past at top speed with no lights at all hours of the morning. Now, maybe they're delivering Meals on Wheels to the elderly. I don't know. It's very odd. But it's, when you're in deep sleep and suddenly, and your boat starts rocking, it's kind of annoying if that happens once or twice a night. So they're the downsides of and houseboats. I must be the unluckiest person on the Broadwater. I've been hit by 2 houseboats. One time their anchor dragged and I had to get a mate to help move their houseboat so I could actually bring my anchor up and get out of the way. That resulted in my hull getting punctured. And when I was at the boat show, some houseboat, which I saw them anchor right in front of me that day, they came onto my boat, smashed the bow, smashed all the bow pulpit into the stanchions into the deck. That's another job that's going to be a pain in the neck to have to repair. And no, sorry, they just took off, leaving a glass on the bow. But anyway, look, they're the bad points, and there are a lot of boats out here that aren't anchored properly. They're using thin ropes, overweight houseboats. You've really got to be careful where you drop anchor, because if the wind picks up, they're more likely going to drag onto you. It's not always what you do wrong, it's what other people around you do wrong. So you're probably wondering how I allowed my boat to get into such a mess. Well, it's the end of financial year and I've sort of been crunching a few numbers, and I've worked out that over the last 6 months I've made 88 videos over 6 YouTube channels, including trying to set up one video production business. So that works out to be one video every 2 days. So I've been giving that a real red hot go, and the boat repairs and tidying the boat and even being on the boat, apart from sleeping, has gone out the window. And it's now got to the stage where I really have to start doing some repairs and tidying it up and getting back to where she's seaworthy again. So that's my excuse, and it's great that, you know, of a couple of different channels I've tried, this is the one that's taken off. Probably the one I least wanted to do. I didn't want to be in front of camera. I had an idea for a street talk one, and just doing philosophical voiceovers where I don't have to actually be on camera. But there you go. Face the dragon, find the gold. But I'm just also crunching the number on YouTube. So if I was to make, let's say, $1,000 a week, which would be enough to sail and live pretty well on a boat. So $1,000 a week. At the moment, I've just worked out that my RPM, which is the return per 1,000 views after YouTube take their 55% cut, which is unbelievable, but good on YouTube, is $6 per 1,000 views, which is kind of mid-tier. It's not bad, $6 per 1,000 views. So at my current view rate, I need to increase that by 26 times to get $1,000 a week. So I need about 100,000 to 300,000 views a week, and possibly needing 55 to 60,000 subs to sustain that. Let's see how we go. We're going to have to add some excitement. We're going to have to stop tidying this, get this damn thing tidy and get it out doing something, catching some fish, doing some sailing, and meeting some hot young Scandinavian, I don't know, some hot young backpacker to join some crusty old seaman on this journey. You can always hope, can't you?